week one of the Crazyhouse final between Opperwezen and JannLee. Delighted to be joined, in fact, by Opper for a bit to look through some of these games. So hi there, Opper. Greeting.
Hello, okay.
Hi. Okay, so
Good.
so should we look from game one, or do you want to? Did you want to look at the game 30 to start with? Okay.
Just 1 till 30.
Yeah. Okay. We'll start with one. We might just do like the first 12 to 15 games today. So just a short stream. Have a look at some of these games. So I'd say the idea.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'd say game one was all about e4, e5 being, so Opera is white, JannLee is black. Looks like it's all about e4, e5 is too strong for white.
It's just a good line.
So if you ever want to take over the controls, just go ahead and take over the controls.
This is a line, stockfish 8 play with bishop f6.
Yep.
But of course, it's good for white because you got the queen against the piece.
Yeah, so I say this is an interesting move from JannLee because it hits both your bishop and g2, and it incites him to trade off that bishop, which is a good attacker.
This move?
Yeah.
Which move?
What I said, I think, is you're attacking light squares, whereas sorry, he's attacking your light squares, whereas you're attacking his dark squares. But white's attack proves to be faster.
White attack on the white squares, and black on the dark squares. Yeah, it's just a queen against a piece. But still, it's not a bad line. I mean,
yeah.
Black is just bad in Crazyhouse.
So here, black would love to have a pawn to drop on e2, but he doesn't have a pawn, and he's losing his grip in your half. So he tries to maintain it with a knight, and that's trying to grab a pawn on g2. So, and you're just trying to clear out his attackers. King h8, just trying to avoid a future knight at h6. And
if you move the pieces, then I can see about which move to talk.
So you want to take control of the.
You can take control about the moves.
Mm-hmm.
So I know about which move to talk.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, no, just feel free to just jump in whenever. I'll play through it fairly sedately, and feel free to jump in when you. So obviously, lots of pressure on these dark squares from white here. But yeah, basically white is safe, and I say this is the point where you start breaking in now, and there's not much that black can do. And maybe
I don't see you moving the pieces.
Oh, you can't see the pieces. That's interesting. Okay, so let's see. You should be able to. Its sync is on, so.
Obviously, it is.
Yeah. So actually, here even stronger was just taking this pawn and just sacking the queen, because black actually has nothing in this position. But okay. So.
I mean, okay, I can stay. Oh, just one knight, so one knight short.
Oh yeah, that's true. Because you're saying you'd like to have knight here, queen here. So knight here, f takes forced because you don't want to mate here. No, but the rook is covering the mates though. So what do you mean by knight short?
Sometimes knight f2, and then knight g3 ideas. So you're missing pieces.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yes. Okay, so but here you could have taken and then you're okay. But okay, oh, I see here. So do you want to show on the board what you mean?
If you do this.
I think maybe you're not syncing up. Can you just check that you got?
This is not good. What?
Okay, wait a sec. Opperwezen, can you check that you've got the ticks for sync and record in your bottom left-hand corner? Because I'm not seeing what you're moving either.
Every sync versus stay on the same position. So that's good.
Can you see me moving the pieces?
Knight f6, pawn c3.
Yep, you can see it. Good. So yeah, do you want to move the pieces then to say what you're trying to say?
Yeah, I had time enough to play better moves, but I want to be safe. But I can't simply take the pawn.
Yep.
Counterplay, but still I play it safe.
Yes.
Yeah, I can just take it. I got pawn e7.
Yep.
Crazy move. Pawn h6. And I like this kind of move because you protect against knight c3.
Yes. Obviously, this is.
The queen is not hanging.
Yes.
I mean, it's not hanging on the first move because it got made on h7.
Indeed. Yeah.
I like to play a much more safe move like queen g5 and pawn h6.
Yes. Yeah, indeed. So instead, what happened in the game was bishop e3 takes, and takes here. And I like this. This queen is just an amazing piece. It's covering off all the key squares near the white king. So it simply just takes everything, and yeah, black has nothing. And you come in and get the mate. So that was game one.
Yes.
Okay, so game two. So this time it's JannLee's turn to have white, and he goes with e4, e5 again. But he goes for a very direct, and you go for the bishop e7 line.
I make this opening mistake often. That he can take on h7 or move 7.
Okay, is that a mistake? Oh, so d6 is a mistake, is it? So what would you rather play here?
Actually, I don't know. What is well known? Usually the castle, but I think knight takes h7 is a good line for white.
Yeah. So maybe knight d4 is an alternative.
And then d6.
And then d6, yeah. So
I don't know.
yeah. So black's knight takes h7. It's just a very direct attack on the light squares in black's position. We'll see later he takes on f7 as well, and just comes in on all these light squares. So it's a very direct way of playing. So king takes pawn here. G6 was quite strange, I have to admit.
Yeah, because some players do knight h4
Mm-hmm.
on g2, f6, very risky. Because you got queen h5 and you can play on white squares.
Yes.
I want to cover h5.
Ah, okay. Yeah, nice. So you're very worried about the queen invading.
Also block it.
Yeah.
This is also played. Also not good.
Mm-hmm.
I think this line is very good for white.
Yes. So g6.
Yeah, often actually knight takes h7.
Yeah. So g6 is quite a creative way of, well, getting JannLee out of book, and also, yeah, stopping the queen invasion. Okay, I hadn't noticed that. Obviously, it does weaken. So you've got huge light square problems, and you're trying to like strengthen up your light squares, but then you've got slight problems on the dark squares with that move. But yeah. So he takes.
All his pieces are good.
Mm-hmm. He goes straight h4, h5, knight at g5, king g7, and just very direct play from JannLee. I just had to say, they're just going straight in for those light squares.
Yeah, if you don't get in, I can block the attack on f7. That's
Yes.
good. He goes all in.
Yes. So
In slow moves will still be good for
yeah,
white, but he can use sacrifice and open the light squares.
indeed. So actually here, JannLee missed a bit of a chance to really take it to you by sacking the queen immediately. Because what he did in the game is he took the pawn, and that now the bishop is more reinforced. If he sacks the queen immediately, and then plays bishop b3, this is very painful for black.
White is just totally safe and
Completely. And that black king is very sorry indeed.
I got no titles and
So what happened in
got a great attack.
so what happened in the game is he
Same
did
thing.
slip.
If he played pawn at f5.
So
5 what the computer says. But then he played the same move. Queen takes e4.
mhm.
Looks pretty similar
It's similar.
to queen g4.
But here, now you have a bishop, and so now you've got a little bit. Your defense is a bit stronger than if you'd taken the bishop immediately. So
Same line.
yeah, but after
In this line, I
yeah,
don't have pawn in it. Still really good for white.
yeah, still good for white. Yes. So you back off, and he then sacks. And yeah, so it's still good for white. He's still got a huge attack. He's just rolling diagonals towards your king.
I think I have to take on f5 because f5 is a good attacking piece.
Indeed, yeah.
Move it. Bishop f7, that's interesting. Oh, even bishop e4, pawn 7 is strong. Bishop f7 is very nice move.
Yeah.
So you go for e6 and e6.
Yes. So the king is trapped in the center of the board. Yeah, so it's +10, by the way. The more it thinks about it, the more it is feeling tragic about black's position. So in a way, I think you did the right thing, backing off.
Bishop e4, pawn d5, it's really good.
Indeed. So this... Now, this is very interesting. This is a really interesting point. In this position, king h7 is stronger than king f7 for a very subtle reason. Because when you go to f7, he can check you while also covering c4.
Why didn't I take it? That's the question. I mean, he still got a very solid position, but I shall just take this.
I think because your knight is creating threats on the king, so you wanted your own attacking ideas in a way. But yeah,
it's a good move.
It's a good move.
But I shall remove some attackers by taking the piece.
Yeah, definitely. But what's
I still winning, but
yeah,
I definitely shall take on e6.
Definitely, yeah. But what I want to emphasize is what's amazing about this move is it defends this square, and you can actually see why this is worthwhile. Suppose you went here, and then he checked you, and you took here, and takes back. Then you actually have knight at c4.
Why not king e1? I got computer line.
Of course, no. King d1 is stronger. I'm just saying that if king d2, so if king d2 is a mistake from, so I'll say that would be a blunder from white. But if white plays king d2, then you have knight c4, and and mate is incoming. Yeah, so indeed, if king d1, then it's no, that's later king d1. But the point is, white is getting checkmated. If
Oh, I mean, move 24.
yeah, no, I know king d1 is here is good, but the point is, yeah, the bishop on e6 was defending c4, so here apparently there's bishop at g4 maybe ideas. I don't know. White can never take this knight obviously because of a knight will come in supporting a queen on c2.
The knight, the knight is more of a friend of white.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
Saves it. Otherwise, black will drop a pawn on c2.
Yeah,
Pieces off the board. And
indeed.
it must be made.
Yeah, indeed. So it's interesting. So here, king h7 was maybe slightly safer than king f7. But okay, here, yeah, that should have been taken. You're right, but you back off. But it's still very difficult. Whatever happens, this position, and you're both with very little time. Takes, check, and this is the position.
It's a good game from white.
Yeah, where he's sort of threatening mate here. And surprisingly, you have like 3 knights attacking his king. This knight just coming in, 2 more knights in hand, but there's no mate. The knight says here takes, and I kind of show you this knight. The knight on c4 check is covered. The knight on e4 check is covered. The knight check on f3 is covered, and rook takes pawn is covered by the knight. So everything's all covered. It's incredible. You have so much material in hand, but you can't get in. And black resigns.
That was a good game.
Yeah. So actually, white has mate in 10 in this position. So game 3.
Okay, I can try to play the scramble. I mean, I totally lost.
Yes.
Hello, but his position is also easier to play, of course.
Yeah.
For the scrambles, because he got such a big attack. I really need to.
So here, bishop.
Try to find defense quickly. Scramble looked also good. Okay, so bishop f4 was another theoretical line. The idea was to play get a solid position and then play on the attack.
Yeah. So you've switched from e4 to d4. Yep.
Maybe it sounds funny, but I was afraid of preparation.
Yes.
The previous time, yeah, he had strong openings.
Yes.
Confusing ones, like the g5 line.
Indeed, yes.
And I want to avoid some.
So you want to avoid his prep.
Preparation, so I played this.
Yes.
I think this is a nice line to play.
Okay. I mean, normally I play bishop d3 here, with the threat of just taking on f5. But you went for bishop b5 in this game. And later on in other games you went bishop d3. And knight d7 is very good from black. So takes. Actually, black's doing fine here. Knight t5, he just backs off, covering f6. Castles. Knight at h4, f3, bishop at g5, takes. So, I mean, black's doing a great job of controlling his half of the board, at least.
On the right side.
Yeah. Yeah, all his pieces are in front of his king.
You can go all in.
Yeah, you can go all in. Now, the reason why knight takes g2 is good is because this pawn on e3 is weak. So if you don't take the knight, it's got somewhere to go to.
I'm forced to take it.
You're forced to take it. And then you can just attack again. And yeah, and this is just very unpleasant looking. I mean, there's nothing direct, but it's just you're in his half. And at g3, H takes g3, bishop takes g3. I mean, it's just you've just cleared out his kingside pawns. There's nothing direct, but it's just very unpleasant to play. But he backed off, and and then you did this move, which is incited the error from JannLee in this position. Rook e8, and just lose.
Move's not so good, bishop a3. I thought play for the defense.
Yeah, but I said some games are won with a single brilliancy and some are lost with a single blunder. And I said no quarter will be given if you blunder against Opper. And rook e8 is a terrible blunder. Because
it's not even a threat to take the rook, because the material is even.
Yes, indeed.
Bishop. You can still go for the attack. Or just block with bishop e6.
Yeah, completely.
It's a surprising move.
Yes. You have no pawn in, for example, for e7. There's no pawn. You don't have a pawn.
Bishop a3.
Yeah.
Move.
So
play for the defense.
So bishop a3 is quite sneaky, because it makes him worried and it incites a blunder. Rook e8, and now this
actually, I think bishop a3 is not a practical move, because I have not really a threat.
True.
And I shall defend against knight x2.
Yes. So you're saying a move like rook f2 or what else does this have?
Yeah, something solid, yes.
Queen e2. Yeah. Okay, but it's a tricky move, bishop a3. It incites a blunder, and it's game over from this point. I mean, there's very little to say. You're just this bishop diagonal is staring into his king side. He can't go. This square is covered by the bishop. Now, you've got a huge attack. You just pick up the rook, pick up the queen. You pick up a pawn for to place on f7. Pawn f7. He has to cover it. You then say, pick up the queen. Now, the only thing is, when we were commentating, me and Fumitox were saying, he should probably have taken here. But then what you do is probably just take here. You don't even take the queen. You just go and, and now he's got lots of all pieces hanging. So instead he does this. You pick up the queen. Pawn at f7. Okay, so this is just an unpleasant, really unpleasant, but just something very nice actually here. You had a very nice mate. Takes queen, and if he takes with the rook, you have a smothered mate. So he has to take with the king.
Oh, I got knight e7, queen g8, and that's e7, and takes on a 7 mate.
Indeed. Queen g8, and knight at f7. So quite a beautiful mate. In that position, but instead takes the rook, takes, and just resigns because rook at g8 is coming. So you won very convincingly. Okay, game 4. So this time Opper's black. But if you need to go to lunch and come back later, that's completely fine. This stream will go on.
Not yet.
Will go on for 40 minutes. So hi there, Kez1337 and Fresh Salsa Chips. We are joined.
I was not in the mood to go for e4, e5 lines with both colors.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'll play something else.
Okay. Yeah.
d6. I've played. Fence.
Mm-hmm.
Just the wrong wolf defense opening. The position of the wolf defense is knight f6, pawn d6, pawn e7.
Yes.
d6 and e6, and not knight c6.
Yes.
Because got kicks at d4, d5.
Right.
Again, you can also play d4 on move 4, then d5. That's annoying.
Okay, but he could still play it here, right?
Then?
Takes, d4. This is a critical point where he had to take with the pawn to avoid the trouble he got in. Because taking with the queen run into a little bit of a trick. Knight at h4. So he has to give up the queen, or else give up the g2 pawn. So yeah, you're already now slightly better. Well, you're a queen. You got the queen for a piece.
Some material to attack. So play rook b8, e5.
Yeah, so obviously
For attack, for control on g4
control
and
g4.
h4 attack.
Yeah, indeed. So he's worried about the h4 threat, so he blocks it off. But the problem with that is that really now gives you this square to come in. So that's a kind of defense and ideas of attack maybe. Takes back. Bishop g4. Knight g5. E takes.
G5 was he lost control about d2. That's why I can take on d4 and b2.
Oh yes.
Queen g1 and pawn b2.
Okay, so I'm going to highlight that to the viewers. So notice this knight is controlling here. The moment he moves this knight, that means this square is a bit weak. So you can take this. Yeah, and I say this is the move of this game. Rook takes b2. It's a very nice idea. So Stockfish doesn't like it, by the way, but I think it's a great move. So the reason it's a great move, so you can't take it because of queen at c1 check. And this is mating, because you can try and block, but okay, so we're in here, so we can check again. You can pick up the rook and threaten mate on e1, and it's not quite forced mate, but you're just basically winning all the material on the board to take the bishop as well. And yeah, black is completely crushing. But JannLee responded in the correct way, which is to castle out of the danger. But still, black is doing very nicely here. So I think Stockfish doesn't quite realize how good a move rook takes b2 is until it doesn't quite see deep enough to realize it until you keep playing through.
I want extra material in the attack.
Yeah. Now here, I just love your next two moves. Okay, so this is just beautiful. So black plays. So this is how to attack, guys. So black has two pawns in hand, and pawns are the catalysts for an attack. Good. At f4, hitting the knight. Probably maybe backing off the knight might have been an idea, but he goes straight for a counterattack. And then at h2, so you're just going straight in. I just love the way you use those two pawns, those two moves. Yeah, this is beautiful. And the point is, you take here, means you can take the knight with check, so you're keeping the initiative here, and then
Take the check, so the queens can't be taken.
Indeed, but the move you missed here is just backing off that bishop.
No, I want to move later, but I can just play it now.
Yeah, no, here is essential, yeah, because a move later, he didn't have to take you on c8. He could have...
Even not so clear.
He could have done something else, but I guess then he's losing a rook, potentially. So he does take you, and then you back off.
And completely back in the game, almost.
Yeah, but he has to. Well, he has to give up the rook and go for some kind of counterattack. So it's really tricky. But just clearing this square is really important.
Can still clear g4.
Yeah, clearing
f7.
Yeah, clearing g4, absolutely. And the moment you clear g4, this is just game over. And so and this all came about with this, f4 h2 just breaking into his position, and now this is just all over. You take the rook, you break in, check, and here, and then white resigns. And the reason he resigns is after king here, there's rook here, takes, there is checkmate. So, yeah, very nice game.
Next game.
So now
then I go back to e4, e5.
Goes back to e4, e5.
I wonder what he prepared, or what he was going to play.
Okay.
There also e4 a few times.
Yes. So checking out JannLee's preparation, we're going to have the same line as before, except now we have h6, and we know what's coming because we saw it in the candidates. It's the predictable g5.
Take on g5 is the best move.
Yeah, so I was
just pretty long there, but go ahead.
Yes, I'll just show the viewers while you can talk away. I'll just show the viewers the line here.
Yeah, my idea was there were two good lines, guesses. You can sacrifice the queen, or you can play the queen h6 line. That's a safer way, and I need to know less about theory. A lot of deep lines, so I want to go for an easy line to remember, not too deep.
I just want to show some of the complications of this line. So at g6, king takes g6, rook f takes d1, e takes d1 queen. Okay, let's just say rook, because for some reason I put rook there. Takes here. Okay, and now here black plays a challenging move at e2. And just to show the dangers of this line for white, suppose white were to play a very natural looking move, rook e1. Trouble, trouble, trouble. Rook here check, takes, 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 and checkmate. So in this position here, white is still actually completely winning, but with the key move bishop at f3, lose the rook. So you use your bishops to provide beautiful defense, and the black king is getting checkmated. Well, not, it's not getting checkmated. It's just
got the rook, and you surely win.
Yeah, it's all over. Yeah. Yeah, so that's just an example line of the knight g5. Just playing. Let's play through that again. If knight g5, just knight g5 takes here, takes, and you use your bishops to defend.
Okay, I'll do that the next time.
Well, it's you need to study if you want to do this. But yeah, but knight g5 and then knight takes f7 is
all about remember the ideas. I can take on d1 and I can just play bishop f3.
Yes.
I need to remember that.
Indeed. Okay, bishop takes g5 is interesting. Takes, and at e7.
I use this line because I play queen h6 line. It's also a reasonable line.
Yes.
And by much less.
So
this line.
So I should just mention, this is actually an interference move. If you do this, and then you're picking up the bishop as well. So takes with the queen is actually the strongest move. And queen at h6, we're still in theory here. At g7 takes f6. Knight h6 picks up the bishop.
d4 is a strength move.
Yeah, so here strongest was takes here and drop a pawn here. Yes. But d4, bishop takes d4, knight takes d4, e takes d4. Actually, it is very impressive the quality of the play, despite this being bullet. But having said that, because it is bullet,
actually I was wondering about the quality. Actually.
The quality is amazing. So the quality of the moves is amazing, but the thing about Crazyhouse or chess in general is one mistake and you just blow it all. So it's incredibly high quality, the moves from both players, but just one tiny mistake and you can lose a whole game. And so yeah.
You remove the bishop, the strongest attacker, then you can attack on the white squares, like the line you give. I don't take the bishop back because I lose the initiative.
Yes, indeed. So black has a slight edge.
It looks completely winning. You got so much pieces in hand.
Indeed.
You look safe enough.
Yeah. So okay, so he didn't do that.
It's looking ugly now, but they got removed, so now fine.
Yes. So removing the attackers. But something shocking happened in this game, which you probably didn't, because you haven't analysed your game, so you probably haven't seen it. Something really shocking.
I have seen this one.
You've seen it,
I
okay.
can simply sacrifice a few pieces to remove the pawns.
Okay.
Now I make a really bad move. Queen takes e4 instead.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah. So you saw this.
It's not even a problem if I do.
Yeah. But that's what happened effectively. Okay, so the move missed was obviously this, check, and checkmate. Oof. That's tough.
Yeah, that was a big blunder.
Yeah, but quite amazing. Yeah. So both players. Did you? Okay, this is. And now you take it, and now you're completely fine. It's amazing. White is completely safe.
Yes, I can just play safe move.
And
try to get material. I already got a lot of material.
Yes, and the queen is very passive now here.
Yeah, I can play bishop from the h file. I can just play from the h file.
Yeah, so now this is just very nice. You realize you have enough to mate, basically. So your attack is faster. Yeah, your attack is faster, and yeah, rook h7. Actually, even faster was queen h7 because you have two queens in hand.
Oh yeah, I could hold g8.
Yeah. Queen h7. But okay, this also worked. Takes obviously if king takes rook, knight g5. So it takes here, here, come in, and this is checkmate. So very nice win. So yeah, so Opper is about to have lunch, I think. So I think you're about to have lunch, Opper?
No, go ahead. I will tell you when.
Okay. So not yet. Okay. I've got half an hour left before I need to go. So we'll look at game 6 now. And this was the game where Jan missed mate with 3 seconds on the clock, so we can forgive him, I guess.
Okay, the first line is pawn e6 on move 2.
Yeah. So French defense for the first time.
I'm solid.
Yes.
It's strange, I didn't take the penalty one.
Yes, so this...
I mean, also a move later.
No, yeah, no, here. Yeah, why not take here? The queen? Yeah, indeed, yeah. That's true. But okay, here. Okay, so what was interesting... Okay. So you want to go back, or you yeah, you move it. You move it. Sorry. Yeah.
I can take a queen.
Yeah.
You've got one piece back.
Ah, yes.
Take this. I got one piece, and the queen is worth two pieces, and that's just why I take it.
Yes. Yeah. So you're saying if you had taken the queen, knight takes knight, queen takes, king takes. So he gets two pieces for the queen. Yeah, fair enough. So you take this, so that way you keep your attack on his queen. You keep some kind of threat in the position. Yeah. So hi there, Hercules in Twitch chat. Yeah. So Jan, so Opper's rather family are preparing lunch. So that's why that's the. It's all good. Bishop h3, so a nasty pin, so you can't take the queen, or he takes your queen with check. But it's actually not good because it creates a hole in his position on g2, and you're going to exploit this hole. Knight to t5, knight to f3, and d4. Okay, so what's the idea of that? So why e6? E6 is a strange move. But okay, so here takes.
You want to put the bishop on d3 with tempo.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Takes. Bishop here at d5. Takes. E4. Hitting the queen again. So you take the queen, you don't mind losing. Oh yeah. Okay. So actually, this is interesting. Apparently, good for black here was knight to h4, but this is all very complicated. Oh, that's the reason. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yes. And the point here is, if he takes the knight, you actually got mate here, or almost mate. Yeah. Something like this. So that's just a sample line. If he goes to e1 instead of blocking, if he could either block, but if instead he goes to e1, doesn't block, again you have these nasty ideas. Take the rook because you're threatening rook at d1 checkmate. It's just impossible to stop. If you protect d1, you have rook at e2 check ideas. So yeah, it's really weird, but like as you said, knight to h4 was slightly stronger. Takes, bishop to h5 check, bishop at g6. You lose the queen. Yep.
But it didn't work.
Yeah.
I have to leave this game.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is. Thanks for taking the time out to do the joint commentary. And I'll continue looking at a few more games and then close the stream.
I'll see you.
Yep. See you.
Days.
Yeah. Cool. So good. So good luck on Saturday. All the best.
Okay. I look forward to it.
Yes. Bye, Opper. Bon appetit.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay, so let's continue with this game. Blocks takes the queen, and now quite a strong move for black in this position is actually knight takes b2. So the idea, of course, is bishop can't take this knight because black has a queen in hand to land on d2 with mate. And Hercules says, this is going on YouTube, right? It is indeed. And hello to you both, and thanks for giving up time to get the fine tooth comb out. Indeed, we're going over this for the 4th time. So you can have JannLee doing this without any commentary, Mugwort doing it with commentary live, and then I gave commentary with Mixu and with Fumitox live, and now we're just looking in a bit more detail on week 1. This is just part 1, having a look at some of these games. Maybe there won't be a part 2. We're just doing our best to just give a bit of a deeper analysis. So knight takes b2 is strong because he can't take it, so he has to move the king. And there's a very nice move here, is queen here check, and simply take the pawn, because the pawn is threatening mate on d2. And he could take here, just take back. And interestingly, now we get into computer lines. If white attacks the queen, you can actually back off, and white can never take the queen because he will get mated. But it's all rather complicated why, but it's not very simple at all. Black just turns out to have just enough material to get mate, so it's nothing very straightforward about that at all. But knight takes b2 was powerful in this position. Okay, instead, pawn here check, as Opper just said as he was leaving with his idea, and knight to g1. But there isn't quite enough firepower to finish this off. So the problem is, obviously if rook takes knight, then black is very happy, because if rook takes knight, this bishop takes bishop is coming with check. But of course, Jan doesn't take the knight. He just backs off, and that bishop is actually a defender, defending against the mate. Bishop e4 check, you can just block, and Opper doesn't have the attack he hoped for. So takes, rook takes, queen at e5 check, knight at e4, and then queen takes h5 is actually a mistake. Throws away the game, but JannLee only had 3.9 seconds on the clock to find actually quite a tricky little mate. And it goes as follows. Knight at f6. Now the key is your check, but you're planning on taking that queen. So takes is strongest, takes back, and king here. And basically wherever the king goes, here or here, you want to take the queen, but you want to take it with check. So queen here, forces king takes queen. You get the queen with check, and black can't even take back because it's pinned. So he has to back off. And you play this move, rook here, just to... So you don't want to go queen g7, rook f8, because bishop actually covers f8. That's a slight problem. Queen at g7 is also mate in 3, but you'd have to go queen at g7, rook at g8, bishop at f8, and then queen to d7 checkmate. So queen at g7 also mates, but much nicer is rook at g8, drawing the king towards g8, and queen here will then be mate, or if the king runs, queen at d7 is checkmate. It turns out that there is a quicker mate that goes as follows. Rook at f7. But this is just incredibly hard to see. It goes as follows. Knight takes pawn. Notice the rook is cutting off this file, so you're distracting the bishop. So this knight and rook together are mating this black king. So you're distracting the bishop, and then knight takes pawn, queen here is mate. So that's actually a mate in 3 rather than mate in 4. But that's, yeah. That would be very hard to see. But in time pressure, it would be possible to see queen at g7, takes the queen with check, rook at g8 is a sort of, and then queen at d7 checkmate. So I'm sorry I'm not taking any challenges just now because we're doing this as an analysis stream. So that'll be, so queen at h5, knight at, so knight, instead of playing knight at f6, he played knight at d7. And black missed. This is all in time pressure. Opper missed. You could just take this knight, but instead he moves the king. But still, black is okay now. In fact, black has checkmate in this position with queen takes queen, king takes queen, pawn at f3, and wherever the king goes, queen at e2 is checkmate. Nothing you can do about it. It's just forced. The pawn is so. But instead, he went knight here, check, takes, and this is just time pressure. And in the end, white won on time. So yeah, so I'd have to say that's a miss then, because black had a quick mate, but only 1.5 seconds on the clock. So hard to see in 1.5 seconds. Queen takes queen, pawn, and queen there, checkmate. Possible to see, but hard. Okay, so sorry 5-teen, I'm not playing standard, I play Crazyhouse, and also I'm not playing anyone right now, because I am streaming Crazyhouse analysis. Okay, so that was game 6, the story of a missed mate with 3 seconds on the clock. Game 7. So we're just going to do, there were 30 games in total, but we're not going to have time for all of these. So Game 7 is slightly different. So quite interesting. So this game is all going to be how opperwezen is going for an attack on f7 in this game. So it's a light square attack. So notice that it's going for queen takes f7. Okay, I'm going to ignore that next time. It comes. Okay, so actually, let's see, d6. So d6 is quite passive. So at d4 would have been slightly more active. So why is this? Because what you're doing is you're deflecting the knight from e4. You're cutting off both the queen and the knight from e4. So actually, this is quite a pretty move. And if the knight were to move, say something like this, you just take on e4. Okay, so whoever you are, 510, you're clearly not listening to my stream, because I'm being very clear that I'm streaming Crazyhouse analysis. This is the World Championship match between International Master opperwezen and JannLee in the Bullet Crazyhouse World Championship final, week 1, and we're analysing the games. We're not playing Crazyhouse today, so you can be very persistent, but we're not playing, sorry. So d6. So yeah, so an interesting move here, as I said, was at d4, but instead d6 was played. At f5, knight c5, knight at g5, going for queen takes f7, checkmate. So e6, blocking off that diagonal, and bishop e3, hitting the knight. So here, actually, interestingly, a very powerful move was b4, because that knight doesn't have many places to go to. Actually, just to think, why can't the knight just hide away on... I guess the point is you're just driving the knight away from e6. So if you drive the knight away from e6, then you can then take on e6. So b4 and then take on e6 is a powerful idea. So just to show a sample line, if he does this, this would be a good try for black. You've given up your queen, but you've got. But notice this move is to block off the d file, and then you do this. The idea being, if queen takes, you're dropping your rook here and picking up the queen again. But okay, so this is so white is safe, and the black king is just very awkward. All the black pieces are undeveloped. So that's just an example. So b4 was a very interesting move in this position. F takes e6 is also an interesting move in this position, because if the knight takes, you can actually just take directly on f7. If takes back, come in directly on the light squares. And if the bishop takes, then you just take the bishop and then hit the knight. Okay, so but going back to the game, bishop e3 was played, just directly hitting the knight. That's also a very nice move. You're just undermining the defender of e6, and black is losing a piece. So that seems like a good result for white. And he backs off. And again, black's also expending a pawn to defend b7. And in this position, I think it's quite interesting. Black is clearly on the back foot. And I'd suggest going for the queen trade is trying to create a bit more sort of chaos in the position, because if this were a chess game, white's got a knight and pawn in hand to drop. Black's position is very weak. He has a weakness on f7. So black is just trying to create complications and opportunities, well, despite losing pieces. And I think he does achieve something. I mean, Stockfish might say plus 13, but I think the black king has achieved a level of safety despite the material loss. So takes, knight here, rook d4, here, rook f4, knight d5, and knight at g5. I think this is a very sneaky little move from opperwezen, and the idea is if the queen were to take this knight, you have rook at g8, takes, bishop here, get the queen on, and knight here, checkmate. And if the king were to ever drop back, obviously queen here is also checkmate. So a sneaky move from Opper, but not the best move, because the knight can just be ignored. So actually the best move from white is something Fumitalks actually noticed in the live stream on my stream, knight at g8. and queen might go somewhere. Queen here check. Queen here check is actually very nasty because you can't just sidestep or rook at d8 is mate, so you have to block. And then you take it and you put a rook on the back rank, and yeah, something like this. So apparently there will be mate eventually, but certainly white is winning. So knight at g8, very powerful move here. So knight at g5, sneaky move, but black can ignore it. Knight takes, knight takes, knight at e6 check. Now this is not, yeah, this is just white's hanging material. Black can just, so there's a little bit of a slip in the short time control. So takes, rook here, takes here, and black is just getting back into it, just trying to get, he's maneuvering the king into a position where he can attack it. So black has a little bit of an attack here. Probably rook takes rook would have been the nice move in here. The trap is you can't take back that rook, because otherwise this is very pretty. Rook here check, bishop takes rook, knight takes pawn checkmate. Queen cuts. So rook takes rook check would have been a nice little trap, but he didn't play it. He went instead for, JannLee went instead for another knight check. Notice he's trying to undermine this bishop because the bishop is guarding a key defender square e2 where he'll want to drop pawns in future. Backs off the queen. And he gets in, but the problem is this bishop just guards everything, and so white is okay. So, so yeah, so white in the end wins on time, but also on position. Even stronger than rook at g8, it turned out, was just queening straight away and then putting a queen on f7. The idea, you're threatening queen takes f8. If you try and defend, just put a pawn here, takes, and then you get a rook on the back rank, takes here, just put another queen on, and there's no way of stopping this checkmate. So white's got too much firepower. So game 8 out of 30 in the final. Again, opper goes for e6. The knight is hit. So, yeah, this is an interesting game. So, like, where's that knight going? So he's just going to try and use sacrifice the knight for a pawn to create a weakness. Queen a4 takes the bishop, defends here. Queen g4. So this is quite a complex game in a way. d3 hitting the queen. Queen h5, takes e4, takes h2, attacking the queen again. The question is how to sack the queen. Now, it's not really clear. Like in the end, it's not clear which is best, but certainly queen takes rook was also a possibility. The idea being you deflect the knight away, so then you can take this knight, and the point is this bishop can't be taken because of a knight fork picking up the queen. So this was certainly another idea, but even this is quite scary looking because you could have these sorts of, yeah, it's not completely clear. Maybe black could have a slight edge, but in the end in the game, Jan went for the queen sack on the bishop and then taking the knight. So using the same sort of idea. So you're deflecting the knight away from its defense. And then he's coming in on these light squares, and it's actually quite tricky to see how to defend. So bishop c8 at b7, at d7 also is a possibility. Bishop takes f2, king takes, bishop here check. So bishop c5 check apparently was even stronger. The idea is you get yourself castled and actually allow that pawn to queen. But again, this is very unclear. But black is supposedly better because this queen can't really do anything. And you have enough pieces to attack this white king. So white doesn't have the initiative to make use of the queen. In fact, the best use of the queen might even just to sack on the bishop, it turns out. So, okay, bishop b6 first. Yeah, so the king is now a little bit... This is a problem, basically. Check, check, here, check, and the king is running into difficulty. So, in fact, in this after bishop takes bishop, in fact, black resigned, and the reason he resigned is because if you take back this bishop, you're getting mated by bishop at d7. So this is actually just variation. If you take the bishop, takes back, this is promoting, and you're getting mated. If you don't take the bishop, if you try and avoid it, then knight takes pawn check is coming, and that would be mate. If you try and keep on running with the king, then this is checkmate. So the bishop is covering the light squares, and the knights are covering all the dark squares. And that pawn is also covering the dark square. Okay, so yeah, this is game 8 was quite a complex game. Game 9. So we're back to d4, d5, but now Opper's playing maybe the slightly sounder bishop d3 instead of bishop b5. And castles. f3 takes. So we have a very standard looking d4, d5 position in the London Crazyhouse. But then a very strange move from black with b6. And it's strange because the idea is you just pick up a bishop and put it on b7. It's a very clear idea you have here. And knight e5 is actually quite a sneaky move because now you can pick up that bishop and black doesn't have a bishop, he only has a knight. If he had a bishop, at least you could put a bishop here and not lose the rook for free. Here, wherever the knight goes, we could just take it with the bishop. Like, this is just... So knight at d7 is a real blunder from black, because he can just take the bishop, dump it on b7, and he's just winning a whole piece for free. But the move was missed, and instead he goes knight g4. Not quite sure why. And the moment is gone. So f5, knight f2, knight f6, c4. So he's going for a pawn for h6. So he was very much thinking about the king side. King h8, queen e2, knight h5, takes, knight at g3. Bishop g6, knight h3, knight h4, takes, at h6. Okay, so white is coming in with an attack, takes, c4, he wants more pawns apparently, otherwise why is he doing this? But no, also what he wants is if takes, notice how this bishop is staring right into black's kingside. If you can get that, that's amazing. So maybe taking was not ideal, but okay. Takes at d5, bishop b5, and knight b8. Now this is a very strange move, knight b8. Like, instant play would be at b7, pick up the rook. Like, but quite strange that JannLee did not play that. For example, something like this. So yeah, you're just taking everything. Your king side is super safe. You just won so much material. But for some reason b7 wasn't played. Instead, Opper played e5, knight d7, bishop takes knight, queen takes. He's going to come in on those dark squares and light squares as well now. Pick up another pawn. So he's, so obviously that rook is taken. We have a pawn and a knight. So we've got d7 check, king here, pawn takes bishop check. So no direct mate, but certainly strong. Okay, that's in fact what happened in the game. Knight here check, takes the bishop, takes here, gets the queen, rook here, sidesteps his own queen, and so something went wrong. So queen d2 is a terrible mistake. So here, just something like bishop takes rook is very strong. So queen d2 is actually a terrible blunder because of f2, rook takes f2, and yeah. So f2, why not king h1? Because then rook at g1 comes. And if rook, so this is actually quite a trick. So what does black play here? It's not a common kind of position you see, but the queen is actually protecting the rook, and this is a fork of the queen and the rook. So kind of nasty. You're losing your queen, and then that. Yeah, there are no queen h1 ideas because the knight covers h1, but still, there are just knight. What would you do in this position? It's just queen takes d1, queen takes d1, rook at f1, bishop at e1, for example. So quite a nasty position. Even queen takes f1 is okay. So knight takes f2. So instead of this, knight takes f2 happened. Queen takes f2. Okay. So king takes f2 apparently. So queen takes f2. Okay, queen takes f2. Rook at c1 was played. Of course, this is a blunder because white can just take this rook. This is all in time pressure. Very little time on the clock. So he's just going for this attack. Check. Okay, and now it's white's turn to attack. Bishop takes queen, king a4, and queen b3 checkmate. So yeah, mayhem in time pressure. And okay, last game. Well, we're completely out of time. So just very quickly run through game 10 out of 30. So this time opper was black, exchanges queens, and we're seeing a pattern here. This going for light square attacks, g2. Very nasty move this. It's very difficult to see how to defend. I mean, an interesting try is queen e5 check. Of course, it's pinned. The knight is pinned, so the queen can't be taken. Blocks, and then this. And the idea is then you can do something here, maybe. And if we went knight to e7, then there's rook g1, queen takes knight, bishop takes knight, pawn takes, queen takes c7. Okay, so it's not clear at all. But in the game, rook g1 was played immediately, queen takes f3, knight here, queen e4, queen e5. So the black king is just getting chased around a lot, and that's really the story of this game. It turns out white could have gone straight in for rook takes g7, but f3 looks weak. So, so here, yeah, opper's queen gets chased around a lot this game. And now JannLee will try to get a queen trade and put a queen on d8 with mate. That's the plan. So that's why he keeps on insisting on a queen trade. Very nice move here. Queen takes bishop, checkmate, obviously. One of the threats. And this is then a beautiful checkmate that JannLee finds in this game. So white to play and mate. Sounds white to play. And the answer is either this knight or this knight to e6. What happened in the game was a very nice mate. He didn't take it. Knight takes pawn. The king has to go back. Pawn here check. Discover check on the king. And then rook here checkmate. If you do take it, that's not much better. Knight g to e6. If you take it, knight takes pawn. Again, if you go this way, if queen f7, let's see what happens here. Yeah, so rook g7. Rook g7. You don't want to go king f6 because queen f5 is checkmate, so you have to go here. Now there's a very nice move, bishop here, check. And what it does is it stops the king ever running to d6 because queen here will be checkmate. But block. But the queen doesn't take immediately, or the king would run the other way. So instead you go rook takes bishop check. And again, the king can't run here because queen takes pawn is mate. So the king has to run here. And then bishop g5 or something will be checkmate because the two diagonals cut off everything. So the story of that game is a beautiful checkmate found by JannLee. Now, my annotations stop, but I have looked at these games. And this was game 11 with I say the story of this game is this push of this h pawn, and really black should have stopped something like h6 here, maybe bishop at g5, done something to stop the push of this h pawn. So I think this is a critical point in the game. Bishop at g5. Hi there, Summit's Chess. We're looking at the Crazyhouse final of the Bullet Crazyhouse World Championship. By allowing the pawn to get to h6, there's now a weakness on the dark squares, and Opper will attack weaknesses ruthlessly. But that wasn't the full story of this game, because Opper is crushing this entire game, but in the end, there's never in this entire game any forced mate for white, incredibly. White is always winning, but there's never a forced mate, and in the end, time just ran out, and Opper flagged. So a kind of unfortunate ending actually in this game, and by the final position, in fact, it's black here with the forced mate, with even just a move like, well, queen a3 you can block, and the idea is you can just take it, king takes a3. You have enough diagonals that you can just keep on pushing these diagonals. You can't take this diagonal because queen here is checkmate, so you have to back off then. But now you're losing a knight with check, and this is just going to be very bad news. Bad news, bad news. Queen c3 check, king d1, rook c1, king here, and bishop takes, pawn checkmate, something like this. So in the end, actually, black would have had the mate. So what did white do wrong? And I just want to show you, maybe this is the one to finish it. Maybe this is the position. I'll show you what I think was the critical point at which white should have won this game. I mean, white didn't really do anything wrong. Every move he did was excellent. But maybe there was just one very subtle idea he could have seen. Instead of playing at b5, which is a very good move, there was something even stronger. And that was queen a4. And it's just incredibly hard for black to defend this knight. If he puts anything on here, we just take it. Because the knight here is pinned. He can't defend it with the bishop. So in fact, probably one of the only ways of defending it is just going takes, takes, and knight d7, that sort of idea. And it just doesn't work, because we can just take that knight, and using that knight in hand, come in and attack. So this isn't like the shortest forced mate or something, but it's just an illustration. King can't go to d8 because rook at d7 is checkmate, so he has to come this way, but then we go take here. Anything here just gets taken, so maybe just take. Knight h5 stops the king even running back, so king g6. Rook f6, again this cuts off the 6th rank now, so the king has to run forward again. And bishop h6 would be checkmate, the two bishops cutting off. So even stronger. So I guess the lesson of this is even stronger than coming in on the light squares as he did. He has two pawns in hand. He just lets it puts his pawns in the black position, and it kind of guarantees that he will always be better because he has his pieces encamped in black's position. But even stronger than that was going queen a4. And it's just very hard to do anything. Plus 40, says the engine. It doesn't see any mate, but it's just impossible to stop. So, I hope you've enjoyed this nice recap of the first 11 games of the 30 games of the Bullet Crazyhouse World Championship final. So we did analyze 2 of the games actually at the end of the stream in the live stream. So it means we've analyzed 13 of the games. Now, I'm not sure if we'll ever get round to the other 17, but hopefully it was been entertaining nonetheless. And we had the opportunity to hear from Opper himself, the man himself. He fears JannLee's preparation. How about that? So good luck to him and good luck to Jan on Saturday. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. And thanks. I know, Hercules, you're a great supporter of me on my YouTube, always. So I really appreciate it, and nice to have you live, watching the videos, because I know sometimes they don't always happen at very convenient hours. So it was great to do this, and thank you. Bye, everyone.